Hello everyone, welcome to Herald Global. Today we have with us Miss Maitha Alawadi. She is an Emirati filmmaker, writer, creative director whose work spans award-winning short films and feature cinema. Her films have screened at international festivals worldwide and her feature debut, Al-Eid Eden, reached audiences across the globe. Let's deep dive into her journey. I am Saimik and you're watching Fast Track. First of all, let me begin by asking you what inspired you to pursue a career in filmmaking?
I've always wanted to be a filmmaker
Sure.
because when I was growing up, I was a very severe introvert, and the only way to kind of go and explore the world is through storytelling, through my books, through the shows I was watching. And that's the one thing that I felt that I excelled at. But then when I went to my bachelor years in Australia, I lived in Melbourne for 6 years. And during that time, I really got to know who I was away from my identity, like who was Maitha away from being an Emirati, and being surrounded by a culture that is both rich but also demanding into how you are, what you can go do, and what you cannot do. So there, I kind of explored who I was. I found my voice there, and I realized that my voice had merit, especially when every time I voiced an idea, a lot of other students would want to do that idea with me. So I thought, okay, storytelling is something I can do. And that's when I decided that I want to do direct movies rather than just be in the background helping
Sure.
make them, because I studied animation first because I love to sketch. I want to be a mangaka. I wanted to work for Pixar and DreamWorks, but I wanted to be like behind the scenes. But then as I grew into who I am as a personality, I kind of realized I wanted to lead the vision. I wanted to lead the stories. That's why directing for me became like a dream. And back then, there was not much of an area to explore that in the UAE. And we had Nail Al Khaja, we had Ali Mustafa, but other than those two and another others like similar names like Nawaf Al Janahi and such, we didn't have a film industry. We didn't have a film scene either. We barely
Sure.
made one feature every now and then. But even then, it wasn't as strong. So I was like, what am I gonna do? So that was like a whole exploration of how to enhance this career in our industry here in the UAE. And alhamdulillah, like over like the next 10 years was an amazing boom in the industry in that regard. And I'm
True.
I'm so honored and happy to say that I've just done my feature, released it 2 years ago. Now I'm working on my second, third, and fourth features at the same time. So working, it's
So, growing up, any particular artist or filmmaker who influenced you?
growing up. I think the artist that really influenced me was Tim Burton. That was
Sure.
like the darkness he brings in to his films, the gothic elements. I'm a big alternative rock fan, and that just spoke to me so well. But then as I grew as I grew into who I am as a filmmaker, Wes Anderson, Quentin Tarantino, those two
Of course.
filmmakers are people that I really like lean into in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the visionary visionary applications of the art and the styling, but also one of the biggest drivers for my career, one of the people that I really look up to is Hayao Miyazaki. Hayao
Okay.
Miyazaki, anime has a huge hold on my life. I love anime till now. I watch it. It gives me a lot of inspiration, and it is the basis of creativity. So I think Hayao Miyazaki. But if we're looking at a local, kind of a local theme, Nail Khaja was someone that I really looked up to because she was the first female Emirati director and producer. And I always think, like I always tell her as well, like because I saw you making it and pushing and doing, I thought, okay, there is a chance for me as well. So as long as we had you there, we have a chance to succeed. So that's why. And I'm glad to say that there's an increase of female directors in the UAE. I think more so
Okay.
than male directors, which is amazing.
So, your short films, both X and Charlie, gave you global recognition. Okay. What was the influence behind it?
So when X and Charlie were both created during my master years in the UK. I was studying in the University of Sussex. Charlie was actually my graduate project. It's a coming of age story. I won't lie, that story was a bit controversial in the sense that it was talking about transgender issues and talking about social issues and familiar issues within that kind of topic. And that was just it just came out on the back of I Am Kate, which was kind of getting global recognition and global voice. So I wanted to do something with the British people, with the British
Sure.
kind of storyline in mind, because those type of stories we cannot explore otherwise except with in that. And I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to make a story that basically did not get influenced by what other people said. I just did my research. I spoke to a lot of people from the trans community. I saw a lot of documentaries. I even had a teacher in school whose child was transitioning. So I was kind of like just trying to understand, because as a filmmaker, sometimes you have to give voices to people that you might not understand, and it's your way of understanding them. And I'm glad to say that it went really well. It won the Universal Film Festival in America for that one. It got to several others. But X was something that I am very proud of, because at that time when I made X, it was an experimental film. It was about a poetry that I wrote myself, and it's about love, which I imagined what love was from my immense love for romantic fiction novels and obviously Bollywood films. Shah Rukh Khan is the utmost, romantic figure that
True.
we idolize. So I just wrote that one and it came together. There was a lot of mishaps on set for that. My main actor was MIA.
Okay.
My DOP became my actor while his assistant became the DOP. And my main actress was never an actress. She's an actual improvisational dancer. And she was just getting over a 1 year intense relationship. So when she was doing this, she was feeling everything of a breakup. So it really aided it. But at the same time, I felt bad that I put her in that situation. But X did really, really well because it was something new and fresh, I think, combining a reality and improvisational dance and also kind of surrealism. So it kind of like played really hand in hand. So I experimented a lot during my master years. Later down the line, I found my true voice, but it was just fun playing around with different nationalities, different ideas, different experimental film. And it was just fun working out with creators from all over the world for that.
What do you see in a script before you decide to do it? Or rather, what kind of storyline attracts you?
For me, it's the human side of it. How human is the character? Is it something that I can relate to? Is it something that I see is related to someone close to me or someone I understand? Another thing is how accurate that representation is. So if you're talking to me about an Emirati person, Emirati girl going through life, is what the situations she's going through are too over dramatized, are too unrealistic, are too like oppressive in a way that is not real in this day and age, then I would avoid it, because I'm more about telling stories that are authentic to the voices that you represent. Because in the end, storytelling is our way of preserving history, of our sharing our culture and our voices with the world. And for me, true representation is the best. So for me, first, I look at character, I look at situation, I look at as well how much they're pushing the boundaries, because I'm not here to kind of overwhelm the boundaries by trying to do something controversial. I think that you can tell a great story without being too controversial. And it's just about telling a true story that kind of relates to you personally. So, because you need to believe in the story before you make it. If I don't believe in a script, I will not make it, because I will not be the best person to tell it. And I will ruin the story if I don't believe in it. So, I want to respect the writer in that sense. So I always turn down stories that I don't believe in, because I was like, I can't connect to it. I will not be able to connect to it. It's better to go to a director who does. So for me, it's all about connection, authenticity, and humanity in the story.
Your film All Eid Aden, it highlights on family values and Emirati traditions. Okay, so can you please tell us more about it?
So Al-Eid Eidain is a very, very close, like a story that's close to my heart. It was written by Sarah Sayegh, who's a dear friend now. We're writing together other things right now. We're working together constantly on other projects. But I remember the first time that I got approached for Lady Dane, I got an email. I was working in New Media Academy as head of production, and suddenly I got an email from Sarah saying, "Hey, we have a project. I want to know if you're interested and such." So we went to the meeting, and she was telling me about the project, and I was like, "Yeah, it sounds interesting. Send me the script." And I thought it was for a short film. I did not expect it to be a feature, but when I read the feature, I remember I was so over the moon. I called my mom and I was like, I got a feature script. But also, I started reading it in one go. Like I went through reading it and I was laughing, I was crying. I was just overwhelmed with how close to my life the story is because it talks about a Saudi and Emirati couple, an Emirati girl who married a Saudi man, moved to, Khubar, to be with her husband. She has three children there, and the disconnect she feels between her life and her, her past, like her current life and her past, and how she tries to blend in. It speaks so much to me because my sister was is married to a Saudi. She lives in Jeddah. At that
Sure.
time, she didn't have any kids, but I was imagining this would be her life. And the time, actually, the moment we actually started production, my sister fell pregnant and she gave birth
Wow.
before the first, like on the first day of us filming. So it felt like it was like manifesting the story in a sense. But the story is so beautiful because it talks about a girl who had to move her life around to be with the man she loved, to start a family, and trying to adapt to that life. About a couple who really care about each other, both trying to give the best to their family as much as possible, and to for a man who like it's about also a man who kind of feels that he kind of disrupted his wife's life in a sense, and he's trying to provide for her what her father provided for her, and he's trying to do his best to be understanding and loving and giving, and about a father and daughter dynamic who who we don't see much of in Arabic cinema, where it's a loving father who loves his daughter, who sees the world for his daughter, and he's upset at how his daughter's life has gone because he expected more and wanted to give her the world. So it's about kind of like how the men in the family really care about the woman, and the woman trying to figure out their place within that family and figure out who they are. As because once you become a mom and someone's like, there's a big dialogue there where she says, like, I'm someone's daughter, I'm someone's wife, I'm someone's mom, but who am I? I want to know who I am again because I lost who I am. And I want to gain that passion back. And that's a very big statement because I feel it's a universal message to every woman who
True.
has gone through a big change, but also speaks to the men because they also see themselves in the father, in the husband, even maybe in the kids. And the beauty of this film as well, we have three children that represent our culture for the first time. And the biggest joy I had was when my nieces and nephews went to the cinema and saw it and felt that they saw themselves for the first time on the big screen. And I think that we don't have much of that in our cinema world right now in this region. So we need to do more of that because kids really want to see something that represents them. They see it in the West, they see it in, in Asia, but they don't see it in their own language, in their own culture. So this was a
Sure.
beautiful film. And to be honest, the thing that really brought it together was the crew and the actors. We became like a unit. We became one family trying to do this film. And I remember when we wrapped up everything, we were all in tears. We were all hugging and, trying to catch up. I'm still friends with a lot of my crew and my actors. They become more family. And I always, every time I think of a project, like I have these projects coming up, I'm always saying to my producers, I want my team. I want my team. Because when you work with someone for that long, you become family, and you know that they will be your
True.
backbone. A director cannot do anything without their team, and team is life, and I always feel that. But yeah, it's always a beautiful kind of sentimental film, and I'm so happy that the release of the film happened with a big success. And the day of the release was on the first year birthday of my nephew as well, so
Oh,
it
wow.
was a really great one because he's a Saudi Emirati child, and this film was a representation of him in the film. So it was just a dream come true, and it's a moment that I always remember, especially because it was a comedy as well. And comedy, as you know, comedy and horror are the two hardest genres to make. And I laugh at everything, so it was harder for me. But it was just a beautiful, beautiful story. Yeah, a beautiful journey for me.
Since we are talking about short films at the same time, full length feature films, how challenging is it in terms of the transition as a filmmaker?
I would say Sanjay Leela bin Saleh sir said something amazing when he was doing Here Monday. He was like, Here Monday was like four feature films in one. Like it was like filming four feature films in one go. A feature is the same thing. It's like you're filming four or five short films in one go. I think that pre-production and post-production is the same length. Obviously, for features a bit longer, but the production side is harder because with a short film, I think that we have a bit more leeway. We have a set of days. We can extend it for a bit. We can shorten it for a bit, but we have a strict like time like pages that we need to film. With a feature is a different thing. If you change something in day 5 that might affect day 16,
Sure.
you are in trouble if you don't have someone back, like, tracking that. You have a trouble when it comes to post-production and sitting with the editor and realizing, oh, we missed something. And then going back and filming that is a bigger struggle than going and filming a short. I think with shorts is a bit more of a training to go to a feature. You need to be very comfortable and knowledgeable about filming a short before you even attempt a feature. I'm happy to say that, like, to be honest, I'll be very blunt. When I went to do the feature, I was very nervous. I was like, am I going to be able to do this? Because I didn't realize this, but on my set, there were over 90 crew members, and I'm used to like 10 crew members. And all those 10 crew members
Sure.
I know by name and I know by experience. But it's very interesting to go from that transition to the bigger transition. Now, I feel like features right now, it's just a bigger short film. As I said, 4 different short films in back to back. I feel the bigger challenge will be doing a web series. I think
Okay.
that is gonna be harder. But for me, because that's like episodic, so you're not filming chronological, so you're not filming each episode by itself. You're filming everything in one go. So for me, I think it's a natural transition. It wasn't that of an extreme transition because I did have a huge background in also commercials and documentaries and short films. But I feel like a lot of people who want to go into filmmaking just think, should I do a short or should I go into feature? And I always say to people, start with the short, see how
Sure,
you go
please.
with the short before you even attempt the feature, because the feature is a bigger budget. It's more hectic. Any mistakes will be more visible than in a short. And it's a bigger challenge that you might not be ready for yet. So try your hand on a short, see how that goes. 1 to 2 shorts is a great way to see and learn from your mistakes and learn from being on set. Then when you're in the feature, the mistakes will be lessened and you'll have more confidence in yourself to lead, because in a feature you need to be the leader. You need to think on the spot and be able to solve any problems that come. And problems come a lot and in multiple different directions. So you need to just be able to handle that. And you can't do that if you just jump into a feature.
How was the experience of being a presenter for DXP today?
Oh, that's well, we just actually celebrated our 3rd year doing DXP today, and I'm
Sure.
so excited because I never thought I would be on TV as a presenter. Let's put it out there. As I said, I was an introvert, so being on the spotlight, I have actual huge stage fright, like to the point that my knees will be shaking, my hands will be shaking. I will be having a panic attack before I even go on air. So when I got the chance to audition for DXP today, first of all, I didn't know what I was auditioning for. But my friend was pushing me. She's like, go for it, do it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I did really last minute. I actually missed the audition timeline. So I did last minute, but they liked my audition. They were like, can you come for the in-person audition? I was like, sure. And I remember just coming back from Barcelona from there. So I went there and I was like I was very nervous because there were so many great talents, some of which I worked with as a
Okay.
director and a producer before. So I was like, oh, they will never, they're not going to take me. But then when I found out that they did take me, I was so excited, but at the same time nervous because I was like, okay, now I really need to commit. Now I really need to own up to it. And we don't realize how hard it is to be a presenter because you have to bring out your personality. You have to be unique in that. You have to bring out your own voice and your own opinion, but at the same time, covering a topic that you might not actually have interest in. At the same time, when you're on air, you're reading from an auto cue. You are also hearing people on your ear at the same time paying attention to everyone. So it's a multi-skill task. And when I started, it was very nerve-wracking. I was messing up and I was scared of messing up. And I was saying, I'm so sorry every time I mess up. I remember the director, Mohammed, telling me, Maitha, stop saying sorry, just continue, just continue. And I was like, oh, and now every time I mess up, like which has lessened so much after 3 years of constantly doing it, Thank God. I feel like I learned a lot from it. I learned how to be confident. My speaking skills have enhanced, and I owe it all to our head of the program, Reem. Reem and our producer Jasmine. They're the duo that really pushed us, and Reem herself like believed in me so much. I remember her calling me, and I was like thinking she's calling me to kick me out of the show because I was like refusing to be on studio. I was like, no, I'll just do VTs, like recordings outside of the studio. And she was like, I'm sorry, I'll try. She was like, no, no, no. She was like, Maitha, if I didn't believe you had potential, I wouldn't pursue this hard. I was like, okay, then I have to do it. And now I'm the one who's asking him, can you give me more screen time? Can we give you more studio time? And it's a very fun experience because you also get to meet such amazing, amazing talent. Like
Sure.
yesterday, for example, we had Naila talking about film Bob. We had Razan and Nia talking about their short film, which is going to LA, Holy Shorts. We even had Yo-Yo Honey Singh as our
Oh,
co-host. And we even one time we had Taha Shah on, and we had all these amazing kind of creative from all over the world. And it's just fun getting to know them and getting to know people that you might not have interacted with because you're not in the same sphere. So it's a very fun experience, and I'm so glad to be with 12 other presenters from different parts of the world and different experiences that actually guide me and take me under the wing, and they show me the ropes. And that's the beauty of it. We became a family through that. And it's a totally different experience being in front of the camera than behind. And I always say I will recommend for directors, if you want to learn about how your actors feel, how the people in front of the camera feel, put yourself in their shoes, learn how what they learn, because then it will be easier to guide them. And if they're newcomers, you know how to kind of channel their
sure.
confidence, because you yourself will know the tips and tricks, and you will know the experience of being scared of messing up in camera, and then you'll have a better understanding of how they're going to be experiencing it as well.
Please tell us about some of the challenges you have faced as a female Emirati filmmaker.
I would say that female directors here do not have those sorts of challenges where it puts us away from, like, separates us from the male directors. I think us as a filmmakers as a whole, both male and female, have a lot of challenges in this industry, especially in the UAE. I think that the we one of the biggest challenges is how to make people invest or trust our stories enough to invest in it, or have an interest in our stories enough to invest in it and produce it, because I think that's the thing that we're lacking at the moment, the funding and the investments that we need to tell more stories. I feel like a lucky few has gotten them, but after that, where is the next step? What comes after your first feature or your first short or your first web series? And I think that's the biggest challenge for all the filmmakers here, having that kind of funding body that kind of gives way to more potential stories, not only airing within the region, but also going international. I think the other challenge would be like more of a body that protects talent. We don't have yet a body that protects talent and their fees and how they are seen in the industry. So for example, actors do not have a body that protects them, like in India maybe they have, or in US maybe they have, or in Egypt maybe, because Egypt is a more established film industry than ours. Oh, we don't have like a body that protects the writers, nor the cinematographers, nor any other crew members. And we're always chasing that next job. We're always pushing. And if you see the rates that are coming in, it's always fluctuating. We don't have a body that kind of centers the rates and makes it unified, that this is the
Sure.
minimum you can go for this role and this is the maximum. I know that in a lot of industry there are people that are struggling and they're trying to make something with minimum budget, that's a different scope of work than, like commercials and features and web series. So if you're funding for that one, there is should be a certain level of average pay, so to make it worthwhile, to make people think, okay, I can do this full time, because a lot of people here unfortunately have to have day jobs to be able to support their dreams of being an actor, a video, like a cinematographer, a director, a producer. And it is a struggle being a freelancer in a country like the UAE because although the living here is amazing, there's a lot of progress, there's a lot of things happening. The expense level is high. It's not
Sure.
as low as other countries, and it's getting higher with how the economy is enhancing and increasing.
Please tell us about your upcoming projects. I think this is the best time you can talk about your future plans for the web series.
So I'm actually just finished writing my second feature. I'm the writer for it and the director for it. So I'm just waiting for my producers to come back to me with their notes. I'm also in the process of pitching pitching several web series. One of which we're still waiting to hear back from, and two of which are still pending. They're in development. But yeah, it's been an extraordinary journey. Where I'm trying to go into the web series market more than the feature. The features are beautiful, but it requires proper funding and proper investment, and the turnover is longer than a web series here in the country. Web series, however, are more in demand, I would say, because during
Yes.
Ramadan is the time that everyone wants to see those web series. But now we've started also creating web series that are shown throughout the year instead. So we're trying to get into that. Plus, I feel like with the web series, you have an expansion of the story, you have more to tell. So I'm trying to do that. I've also just finished wrapping, I'm actually in the last stages of post-production for my two short Indian films that I filmed in Mumbai
Oh, wow.
over the summer. Yeah, it's one is a purely Hindi-driven film by two amazing actors, Arman Kira, who was in
Okay.
Bads of Bollywood and Sons of
Yes.
Paradise, and many, many more, and Anirudh Surya, who was in Kanida,
Okay.
which aired which from Geo
Sure.
Hotstar, as well as Decoupled, and hope like soon he's releasing Lost Stories 3. So it's been a fantastic kind of collaboration by these two amazing actors. I worked on the script and I worked on the dialogue with them, and we filmed it in one day in Mud Island. So that's kind of going through festivals right now. It's about male vulnerability and male responsibility, about how people don't understand that the men also have that kind of responsibility, which can become a bit of a burden and a bit of disconnect between brothers. And it talks about 10 years after, after one left, and the other stayed, and they were reunited after their dad passed away, and all that bottled like hurt, anger, betrayal comes out in
Sure.
one day, in within the monsoon. In Madal. And the other film is very dear to me as well. My producer Aman kind of believed in the script. I wrote the script specifically because it's about female issues. It's about the first 24 hours after a girl's sexual assault, about her mental state, about what she
Okay.
goes through. And I have the amazing actress Richa Meena as the main kind of core and the main voice of the film. It's a silent movie. There's no dialogue. There's only emotions and her mental turbulence that comes through. And it's a beautiful, beautiful portrayal of women issues that are not really discussed in that way. Like we see them a lot. We saw it in Delhi Crime season one. We saw it in a lot of international films, but this one is more to do with what happens within the first 24 hours. And I think that not a lot of people see that or not understand how women feel. And it's a very beautiful story. And we filmed it in one day in Bandra, and it was just like Richa was fantastic. She was in Venice for the premiere of her film, and she flew in, and she I think landed in Mumbai at 5 a.m. in the morning, and she came to set at 12 p.m. and she did a whole 12-hour shift with me, and she was just a gem and a star, and she's a fantastic, I think one of the most brilliant actresses I've seen on camera since a long, long time. So yeah, those two films are in festival, like gonna go into festivals soon, and they're just in the final stage of post-production. I'm very, very proud of them.
Okay. Since we're talking about Mumbai, my city, okay, and Bollywood, So, any particular filmmaker, artist whom you're looking forward to work with in future?
Well, I would say Vijay Acharya because he's a bit dear to my heart. He's such a sweet, sweet guy. I met him recently, and he's just like brilliant to talk to and so humble and very down to earth. I feel like I would love to work with him. Nikhil Advani, obviously, he's also a brilliant, brilliant mind. Kal Ho Na Ho
True.
is one of my favorite films. Karan Johar, just because I love all the Karan Johar films, but also Farah Khan. I love Farah Khan. I love May Huna and Om Shanti, and I thought they were very, very brilliant. I had the pleasure of interviewing her during a press conference when she
Sure.
came for Happy New Year. But to be honest, I would love to work with Priyanka Chopra. That's my dream. Priyanka Chopra, Kareena Kapoor, Shah Rukh Khan. Um, one of my favorite actresses, he passed away unfortunately, but his film really resonates with me, which is The Lunchbox. Irfan
Okay.
Khan was brilliant,
Yes,
and
of
he was
course.
one person that I always look out for
True.
from any angle, like from the Western side as well as from the Indian side. Stories like The Lunchbox is something that I really want to do and really want to tell. I'm working on something right now to kind of hopefully be my first Indian feature, but let's see how that goes. Because I also want to make sure that what I tell about India, and I love India a lot. Mumbai is a city that I've been going back and forth for more than like 7 times in the past 2 years. So, and I live there. Like I have a lot of friends there. Majority of my friends are in Mumbai. I live there for at least a month every time I go, and I feel like I know the city very well now. But India in general is such a beautiful, beautiful tapestry of so many culturally significant and enriched stories that it's like I want to explore them all, and I hope that more filmmakers from India try to explore. I know there's a big indie filmmaking community that is rising now more so than the Bollywood scene, and I think that a wave of indie filmmakers are going to emerge in the next few years, creating those beautiful
True.
stories. I mean, look at Homebound. It's in the like in the shortlisted in the Oscars this year.
Yes.
One of the most beautiful films that came out of this year, and there's so much more coming out too. So it's a brilliant time for cinema, and I really hope it increases. I know the industry right now all over the world is kind of going through a hard time. Like with Netflix trying to buy Warner Brothers, that's going to change the whole game field.
Yes.
Geo Cinema buying, Voot and other such kind of station like streamers to make a bigger stream. There's so much changes happening, but I think filmmakers are seeing more like of a passion and an urge to tell their stories. And I feel that I can't wait to see what's coming up next from India itself. And I hope that I'm one of the people that really get to be part of that beautiful storytelling journey.
Lastly, a word of advice for the aspiring female filmmakers for minutes.
I would say that if you want to make a film, just make it. You can push out there a message to communities, and you will not believe the support you will find. There's so many people here that want to tell stories, and they will do them pro bono. Like they will be on your set doing the things, doing the work to make your vision come true, as long as they believe in it. And a lot of people will, because if you have a story that really speaks to you, it will speak to other people. If a story
True.
that you are passionate about, that passion will translate. And not only that, I will say we need more female voices out there. We need more male voices as well, diverse male voices out there. And I want to tell people to not be afraid to venturing on different genres. We are big fans of horror here, and you can see a lot of the films that would come out of the UAE and in the region are very horror based. I want to see more romance. I want to see more adventure. I want to see more fantasy and sci-fi. I want to see more of those coming out because we haven't seen as many. Like I'm currently mentoring some students from St. Mark's School. They're in their graduate year. They're doing short films, and this is a high school, which is phenomenal. Their work is brilliant, and the students there, one of them is doing a comedy western in the
Okay.
UAE, and the other is doing kind of the surreal kind of uh, reality versus expressionist kind of story. And these are coming from students under the age of 18. So I'm like
Pretty
just
amazing.
seeing a burst of creativity that's coming out of, and not only that, SAE SAE film, university is also producing such amazing talent. Um, there's so much talent in our country, but as I said, there's still a struggle. So I would say, don't worry about the struggles. The people that are established right now are trying to change that for you. You're coming up in the year that is and like boosting with a lot of films. We've seen more films coming out of the UAE in the past like in the past 2 3 years than we've ever seen in the past 10 20 years. So it's a great time for filmmakers. I think don't be afraid of having a no budget or a small budget film. You can make it. We Anything is possible as long as you put your mind to it. I will only say that we'd love to see more directors, but I would love to see more DOPs from the UAE. I would love to see more people going into acting in the UAE. I would love to see people going into crew roles like art or costume or makeup and hair. I want to see UAE locals and residents kind of getting into those roles and overpowering them in the sense of having so much of us doing it here that there's no excuse not to hire us if you're filming in our country. Because that's another thing. When people come here to film, they bring their external team because they don't believe there is enough local talent to support them. Let's change that. Let's put our local talent out there. Let's make sure we dominate that field so that when people come here, they already know there is a local talent that can support them and can produce as good of a work, I mean, maybe even better because we know the culture nuances than international talent. There's no harm in bringing international kind of GOPs just to lead and such, but there is a harm when you don't support local talent and don't support the local infrastructure here to enhance it and expand it. And I feel that's the thing that we're missing, but we need more talent to be able to say, why aren't you using our talent? So that's the thing that we need. So I hope that people can go into filmmaking and pursue it, but don't just focus on directing, focus on producing, writing, DOPing, acting, editing, art directing, costume making, all of that, so that we can say we have talent that supports all aspects of filmmaking. Use us, give us funding, let us show our voices, let us show our names out there, and we can make anything possible.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alawadi. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.